We're live. Okay. Welcome back to Crypto Mischief, where I talk about my favorite thing in the entire world, cryptocurrency, GD cryptocurrency. Today, we have a special guest today on stream live. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron from MintStakeShare. Hello, Aaron. How you doing?
Great, man. Happy to be here and, pumped to talk to the community. It's been a week since I did my last AMA. I've usually been doing a couple of weeks, so it's been a little while since we've all talked. So yeah, really looking forward to getting everything going.
Yeah, I'm just going to hopefully check that. Yep, we are. Everything is looking good on stream. So get into the comments, everyone. If you are here and listening, we've got some new, technology to use today. Whoop, look at that. Remember to like and subscribe. Get on to the BOM socials. You should be getting into the Twitter and into the Telegram group to follow them and all the news that are going on with BOM. Sorry, with MintStakeShare.
You're so used to talking about BOM from before.
Totally. Yeah. And if you don't know, so we're talking with Aaron. Aaron is a long-time friend of mine. We've known each other now for 4 years maybe.
Yeah,
and he's run an astounding amount of platforms that he's created over the years. And the newest and most, the newest project is called MintStakeShare, mintstakeshare.com. You can check it out, or the link, of course, is in the description. And we are here to do an AMA. We've got a couple ways to do this. We do have some huge alpha that Aaron will be dropping on the stream right now, soon. We have some questions which I had from a AMA forum that's now closed, which is up. I've chosen the questions, and I will be sending them some prizes for the questions that they asked. And we have the comment section live on YouTube going, so remember to check that out too. And I might pick some from there as well. And that's pretty much what we're going to be doing today. So I don't know, do you want to, should we briefly introduce the platform for anyone new, or do you think most people on stream already know the platform? What do you think?
I mean, I think most people would already know, but I mean, we can give it a quick minute overview.
All right. Elevator pitch. What you got?
Oh, man, I'm not good at these elevator pitches. All right. Well, basically, what we've got is an ROI type DApp called MintStakeShare. It's at mintstakeshare.com. It has a lot of innovations, just, with my experience in the industry and seeing what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked, what I thought could be improved. I kind of put it all together and built MintStakeShare. It's a platform that has its own native token called MSS or MintStakeShare. You can deposit that, and your deposit is locked. Once you do that deposit, you can claim out 1% a day, or you can compound at 2% a day. It's got a really innovative, referral program that really tries to benefit the referrals, but without making it so lucrative for the referrals that it's not fair to somebody that's, kind of just a solo player. So it's kind of, tried to combine the best of all worlds, and, it's been received quite well by the crypto community. So really pumped about it.
Yeah, it's been an astounding launch from the beginning of MintStakeShare. How old are we now? 1 month?
Yeah, a couple days more than a month, I think.
God, the most furious, fastest month I've had in a while, actually. An exciting month, right? Started quite small community when we first got into it, from this channel, and it just absolutely exploded. And now we are up to over, what are we today with the stakers? 1,153 stakers of the token, with 24 million tokens staked so far, which is a huge amount, and growing and growing. So this is great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Let's maybe jump into the alpha.
Yeah. Are you guys ready for alpha? If you're ready for the alpha, hit the like button, forward this around Twitter, and let's see, because I'm excited for this. Really
once we hit 400 likes, I'll drop the alpha. No,
400? 4 million. Yeah. 4 million likes.
Come on, like, guys. Yeah. All right. So let me give a little bit of a precursor. So, okay. I'm always just building, right? I'm always just, checking out projects to fork and just, building things from scratch. And, I've been always looking for, what projects I could possibly bring to BSC that are on other chains, and just, playing around with different things that are interesting to me. So keeping that in mind, I was on the Thomas G. Wreck to Riches X Space, and we were talking about extra utility and different things you could do with your MSS tokens. And one of the examples that I brought up there was, I said, possibly what about forking LUSD? I mentioned that just as an example, but this is actually one of the projects I had actually really looked into forking like probably 4 or 5 months ago because it was really intriguing. So after that stream, I kind of took another dive into my code base that I got locally here and started looking at it and seeing, how can this fit with MSS? And the more I looked into it and the more that I kind of just started playing around with how this would look, it just started to make more and more sense. So essentially I just kind of brought, that's when I mentioned in the Telegram chat, like, I'm working on a big idea. If I can make this work out, it's going to be massive. And, I told the team, what I was thinking, and they are all going crazy about it. And yeah, I'd love to really just dive into, what this would do for MSS and, what you'll be able to do with, an LUSD fork, based around MSS. So I guess we could share the screen now. What I've got open right now is the demo front end dashboard.
Let me get that. So LUSD, it's the liquidity.org, is that right?
Yeah, Liquidity is the platform.
Liquidity, yeah, with $360 million locked. Wow.
Yeah. So let me just briefly explain what's going on here and how this is going to benefit MSS and what you'll be able to do with the platform. So essentially, and also guys, keep in mind, this is, I haven't done all the contract work and everything. This is, running locally on my system now. So I can actually show you guys like how this all works. Although it's obviously not production ready at the moment. Mm-hmm. But so essentially what this is going to do, it's going to let guys take their MSS tokens, where guys can buy MSS tokens to participate in this. And what they'll be able to do is deposit MSS as collateral and borrow a stable coin against that collateral. Now, this is great in a lot of ways, but let me just, get into kind of how the actual things, because I mean, there's a lot of different systems out there where you can kind of just have collateral and borrow a stable coin, but this is special in a lot of ways. So this protocol is basically self-sustaining, right? And it gives utility to itself. So there's 2 tokens here. You got MUSD, which would be like MintStakeShare USD. And then there's also like almost like a share token, kind of, I don't know, forget, like as in Bomb, it was like a B share, I guess you could say. It's, the original is LQTY, we're going to call it MQTY. And essentially the way that this will work is, as you can see in my demo here, and I'll play around with it a little bit, but I've deposited 100,000 MSS, I borrowed 2,000 MUSD. And what I can do with that now is I can, for one, I could just go sell the MUSD if I want to take, if I want to go buy something in the real world with my, if I have MSS, I can deposit it and borrow out some MUSD and go sell that. But also there's ways to earn here, right? So a lot of guys are going to want to get MUSD just to earn through the stability pool. So that's how the distribution of this token MQTY is going to come out, because of, it's going to come from all the deposits into the stability pool. And it's going to be kind of like, like when any farm starts and there's like a brand new token, almost like with Bomb money, right? So B share, when that originally came out, the supply of it was tiny, and the APR is just monstrous at first, right? And this is going to be a similar type thing, right? So the emissions of this are going to keep going, and yeah, essentially you deposit your MUSD, you can see what share of the pool you have, and you're going to earn every time someone gets liquidated, or every time somebody, or you're just going to earn because of emissions on this actually as well, right? So that's basically how this token gets into the wild. That and something else I'm going to mention in a second. But
all right.
So with that MQTY, you can then take that and you can stake that as well. So it's this protocol. That's kind of why I fell in love with it, is because it gives both of these tokens a use case right in itself already, right? So you can deposit your MQTY into the staking here, and then you're going to gain MUSD every single time somebody basically deposits more, or every time somebody borrows. So I'll show you here. I'll just like say I'll put in like another 100,000 and I'll jump this up by 1,000. Oops. So I'm paying a 5 MUSD borrow fee here. This is actually going to go to the rewards of all the stakers here. So I'll go put that through. And yeah, so you can already see there's an issuance gain there. So I already gained just from doing a fresh borrow essentially.
So you gain tokens. You gain from supplying MSS to
Uh,
then borrow
well,
the MUSD. You gained the MSUD from the staking pool, from the
yeah,
staking of MUSD. Yeah.
I'm not doing the best job explaining this, but yeah. So basically, at the end of the day, I borrowed an extra 1,000 MUSD, and because of that, there was a borrow fee, which then got divided up into all the people that are staking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a really neat system of how this maintains peg, right? So if the peg of MUSD is below $1, you'll be able to redeem MUSD for $1 worth of MSS, right? So, for example, MUSD is 90 cents. You'll be able to buy that on the open market for 90 cents and immediately flip that into $1 of MSS, right? So there's an immediate, return on investment there. So it does, if you look at the actual LUSD protocol, it does a great job of keeping peg, and they got a huge TVL, huge market cap there. And if the price of MUSD is over $1, of course you would just borrow it and then sell it on the open market, because you can just get an instant profit there.
Looking at the LUSD price, it's been pretty much on $1 or down to 99 cents, and one big spike, but it's been extremely stable, since September 2023.
Yeah, and we'll be using the exact same system to maintain peg. I mean, there's going to be some differences, right? So obviously, like MSS is not nearly as stable as Ethereum, which is what you deposit as collateral on their protocol. So So with our system, instead of having like 110% collateral requirement to borrow, we'll probably bump it up to like somewhere between 130 and 150%, probably closer to 150 actually. So you'll basically deposit $150 of MSS to borrow $100 of MUSD. Those parameters are still to be decided, but we'll definitely make the adjustments to make everything make sense.
So Warriors DAO say, stake MSS to get access to stablecoin funds to utilize as the user wishes. Massive. That's a pretty good way to simplify it. Actually, I like the site looking quite clean and easy enough to understand, which is the beautiful thing about MintStakeShare, right? That anyone with experience level low or high can spend about 15 minutes looking at the MintStakeShare site, and they can pretty much understand almost everything, right? So this is also key for this one, I'm sure, is something you're thinking about, right?
Yeah, so this is the demo dashboard that kind of comes with their code base. So we'll be taking this and we'll be making it, much stronger, much better, easier. And, it's, and again, this is something that's going to be independent from MintStakeShare. Like if you don't want to participate in this, you don't have to. But it's going to be a massive benefit to the whole ecosystem, just because for one, guys are going to be buying MSS just to participate in this. And number two, a lot of guys are worried about inflation and reward MSS in the future. Well, this is a great place to take that MSS and put it to work and not have it locked up, right? So when you deposit MSS here, you could take it out in the future. So if guys are worried about, just doing what did I hear in chat the other day? Suicide compounding. So instead of suicide compounding, you could do your claims there, and then you could, you can throw your MSS in here and still be earning, or even just take MUSD to go sell it or do whatever you want with it. But yeah, it's going to, be a great thing to do with your reward MSS and a huge, strong incentive to buy MSS. To participate in this.
So Moonshot Max is here. He says, told you guys not to worry. And we have Drip to Wealth, who says you will not need to sell your MSS, still earn while holding, which is true actually as well. If you deposit the MSS into the new protocol, then you would be earning from the token without selling it as well.
Well, I guess technically to earn, you'd have to borrow MUSD and then deposit into the stability pool. So you don't earn just by depositing, but it's all part of the ecosystem.
In theory, this is quite a big question actually. Would that be a taxable event if you deposited MSS into the platform, took out the MUSD?
So I mean, we can custom do anything that we think is the right move. But by default, there would be no tax for anything like that. But I mean, if it makes sense to have, some kind of fee or tax, we can definitely do that. So another thing that we'll probably adjust is, by default, there's only a 0.5% borrow fee. We'll probably bump that up a little bit, right? Like 1%, maybe 2%, or we'll see. And, it's huge, right? Because that's what feeds into, a lot of the rewards. I mean, the stability pool is probably going to be the huge one, right? Like a lot of guys are just going to borrow MUSD just to deposit into the stability pool to get that emissions of, the reward token MQTY.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about the MQTY then. So you said, so there's two tokens, right? So there's going to be MUSD and MQTY, which stands for
well, liquidity. I mean, the names aren't final, but it's liquidity. LQTY is like their share token. So we just swap the L for an M. I like to just skip that first letter.
Just to help others to kind of understand it, because that's why we have pictures on tokens, right?
Exactly.
So you could then and you would deposit the MUSD into the stability pool, and then you would start earning the MQTY token, and the emission of the MQTY would be the circulating token supply at the beginning would be very low, right?
Exactly. And which means something else that I'm going to change is that in order to build liquidity on these tokens, what we'll do is we'll have bonding, right? So we'll have, instead of having 100% of the emissions come out of the stability pool, we'll let guys, pick up MUSD and pair it with like USDT or something. And then we'll give you MQTY at a slight discount for trading that into the protocol. And that's something where we can do that to get, V2 liquidity, because it's really easy to do bonding with V2 liquidity, and, it's protocol owned liquidity. So we'll be able to switch that into like V3 concentrated liquidity, which would make a lot more sense for a stablecoin pair. But we'll be able to do all that. ZLab
has a question. He says, how do we earn from this new platform? I don't get it.
So, I mean, earning is one part of it, right? Like, keep in mind, this is also just a way that you can say, hey, I want to, I think MSS is going to the moon. I don't want to sell my MSS, but I got to go buy a Lambo or something, right? So what you can do is you can deposit your MSS here and just borrow a US stable coin to go sell that, right? So you don't necessarily need to use this to earn, but I think that's going to be the main purpose for a lot of guys. So once you again, I'll demo it again, right? I'll put another 100,000 MSS in. I'll take another 1,000. Oops, that's 1,000 less. So I'll go do this. So I'm going to get, 1,000 MUSD, and I'm going to deposit 100,000 MSS. Now that I got that MUSD, I can just go here and deposit that. And now I have a bigger share of the pool. So I'm going to get a bigger share of those MQTY reward tokens. So that's, it shows you the APR here. Obviously, this is just based off like the current like LQTY price. So it's not accurate, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a monstrous APR, I'm sure, especially at the beginning.
At the moment, what is the APR for the liquidity?
I'm not sure. So with them, it's actually interesting. They don't actually host their own front end. So they have 8 or 10 different, or there's probably even more than that, but they've got a bunch of other front ends that kind of host it for them, so they can be 100% decentralized. I guess that's a lot of their logic behind that. And they
like Pulse Chain does.
Yeah.
With with Pulse.
And then they have a built-in mechanism where like a front end can actually like take a kickback on some of the fees. So like you can see in the demo front end I got here, there's it's the kickback to the stability providers. But so essentially it's not that easy to just compare this with the other one, just because I have to go into a different front end, and I'm not sure like the layout of it and stuff. But
something to look to. I guess of course we know from experience that high APRs don't last forever.
100%.
But, and they shouldn't last forever, because that's the emissions are too high. Not sustainable. But
so early, sorry, go ahead.
Getting in early to new launches of new platforms is why we're talking about this right now, right? Letting everyone know who is watching and who will be watching afterwards that this will be coming, and you can begin to prepare for it by looking at the MSS token you have right now and deciding, okay, do I want to continue to profit? Do you want to compound and then get more tokens later from your staking, or do you want to start holding more on the side? It's there's different options to play with here as well. Very exciting.
And with those reward tokens, again, right, you can definitely, pop those into staking, and you'll be able to, get gains from issuance and redemption, and, just help the protocol overall. Or you could take those and sell them. So, I mean, there's a lot, the ways that you can basically be able to extract, funds that you can then, take into fiat or whatever you got to do with it. There's going to be numerous ways to do that now, instead of just taking your MSS and selling it. Now you got all these other options that aren't going to put sell pressure on MSS.
Dominic Reyna says, if you borrow, you have to pay back, correct?
I mean, if you ever want to close your position, you have to pay back. I mean, it's a no interest loan, so you're only paying the borrow fee up front. So, there's no rush to pay it back, but if you want to take your MSS out, you're definitely going to have to pay back the MUSD, of course.
Yeah, and of course there will be liquidation risk, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which
It's actually pretty. So it actually lets you kind of see like again, this is all part of the demo dashboard, but this all is working right now, right? So like you can again, bots are going to probably handle this in the future, but at the very beginning, before bots are set up to handle liquidations, like any user is going to be able to see, okay, well, this is the the trove that's underwater, and they can just get a quick profit just by by doing a liquidation.
Good.
Even let you do a whole batch of them.
Yeah. Oh wow, you can liquidate other people's positions.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're liquidatable. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Some other questions. So Alardimus says, yes, payback, but like borrow, compound your stake up again and pay back the loan. That would be feeding back into MSS with the borrowed amount.
Yeah.
Essentially. That's very risky.
And again, like MSS has a extremely high rate of return, so you can definitely borrow MUSD to buy more MSS if you wanted to. That's nothing wrong with that. But again, like you have a bit more flexibility, for example, depositing your MUSD into the stability pool, because you can then pull that out whenever you want, right? So a lot of people might be a little bit not worried, but they might not be putting as much into the actual core MSS protocol, just from the inability to be able to pull it out whenever you want, right? You got to claim your 1% a day. So this gives this gives whales, or really anybody, the ability to buy as much MSS as they want and still earn, great returns off of it without having to lock anything up.
Yep, and exactly. That's actually a lot of the comments, live comments right now. Getting lots of live comments. Having a tough time keeping up with them. So Wonderful World basically says that. He says the MSS that we use for deposits into this, they can then, or can they be from the staked MSS, or we have to buy them separately?
Yes.
I don't think you can't move your staked assets into the lending though, right?
Exactly. And we can't use staked MSS as collateral either. I mean, like from a smart, like, I mean, it just doesn't really make sense, because you can't get liquidated. So it's not safe. You have to have liquid MSS, but this is great, right? Because now we have a whole separate additional use case for MSS. So it's, I know some guys wish they could probably use their stake position as collateral, but it doesn't work. It's, and this is going to be better. It'll create more demand for MSS being fully separate.
Yeah, exactly. Using the staked MSS as collateral wouldn't work, because you're getting 2% daily on your staked MSS, which means that you're would be continually building, and that would mean everyone is doing this, right?
Yeah,
it would not last very long.
And it just wouldn't be safe. Like I wouldn't want to provide liquidity on MUSD if I know that the collateral that's backing this is staked and it can't be touched, right? Like that's
exactly. That's huge news. I have been in many ROI style dApps like MSS, but not MSS is different, of course. It has other changes to it, but I've been in many ROI dApps, and some of them in the past have talked about the possibility of opening up a lending platform for it, but none of them actually, to my knowledge, ever did it. So this is huge. This has been talked about by a few devs in the past to actually launch, and it hasn't happened yet. So, and this will bring, in my opinion, just my opinion, I think this will bring a lot of whales, because huge potential for not only the high APRs on this MQTY token, but then also the ability to take your high risk asset and then borrow out a stable coin to use for other things is extremely attractive for people with a lot of money. This is a huge utility being added to MSS, bigger than I expected, and I think possibly anyone expected. Unbelievable.
And it's important to note that, like, this is not just like a dream I'm talking about, right? Like, I've already launched numerous stablecoin products in the past. I've already done oracles. I've already done all these things many times in the past. I'm already familiar with this code base. So this is something that it's not a question. It's something that I can definitely get out there and it won't take a crazy amount of time.
Yeah, even in the past, we've talked before, must have been 2 years ago when you were launching the BUSD, right?
BUSM.
BUSM, that was it, yeah. BUSD. The BUSM, and it's endless experience that you have with this. I'm extremely confident.
Yeah, I mean,
Brett.
oracles and all that stuff. I'm really comfortable with it. And
excellent. Brett the man, Brett Hartman, says, will the lending be on base or BSC or both?
We can cross that bridge when the time comes, but right now I'm leaning towards BSC, but I mean, we could potentially launch it on both.
Okay.
So let's see how the base user base looks like, and how quick that picks up momentum, and we'll likely do it on both, but I'd say BSC to start.
Yeah, and do you where in the timeline of the development of MintStakeShare do you see this the lending being launched?
Yeah, so with the recent event with that little exploit, we're a couple days behind schedule from where we were, but we're definitely focusing on the base expansion first. So that's why I'm happy to talk about this stuff and share what I think this is going to do for the protocol. But yeah, we definitely are going to put 100% focus into base, and that's looking like it should be ready to go in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, somewhere in that range. And obviously we got to put a lot of marketing efforts into that, and we got to promote it, and we got to do everything that we can to make it as big of a success as it can possibly be. But I'm definitely going to be working on this immediately after, and this is something where it's very unlikely to take more than a week or two to get going. I mean, realistically, the code stuff is a day for me, but obviously we got to set up the promo and get everything, make sure it hits as hard as possible.
Don't forget to have lunch as well.
More of a dinner guy.
Okay. Yeah, so actually there you touch on actually 2 other topics. So there it is. That's the alpha, by the way, guys. That is the huge alpha of a future protocol which will be being launched, and it is being worked on right now. There's the evidence of it being worked on and tweaked and getting prepared. We also have the two other topics to touch on today, which would be first the small exploit that you mentioned, and also the base chain base talk as well. So let's first talk about what happened last week.
Yeah.
There is a Medium article, right? There's a Medium article that anyone can read. I'll find it and put it in the comments so people can read that too. But yeah, so
do you have any questions about it, or should I just give it like a overview of what happened? Or
I think just an overview is
okay. Yeah. So essentially there was a small oversight in the contract that was not picked up by our auditors. It basically, there was one aspect of the MintStakeShare contract that wasn't protected from reentrancy. That's basically like when you can hit the same function numerous times in the same function call. So because of that, someone was able to essentially do numerous mint transactions, which should have been restricted to just one. There was also other things that they had to really be creative to get around in order to execute what they did. But essentially, at the end result of what happened is we got a lot more liquidity. They did a lot of minting, so that all added to our liquidity. Obviously, the price took a little bit of a drop because it started with essentially to break it down, it started with a huge buy through our swap contract, which they then used. They had to deploy 2 contracts in order to do this. It was pretty crazy what they did, but the first contract essentially got the referral money from a 15,000 BNB buy, which was 300 BNB. We've already addressed that, so they can't get that 300 BNB anymore. And they basically bought up MSS, put the price super high. Then they did a whole bunch of minting transactions, which then got them tokens at way under what that swap rate was after their first big buy. And at the same time, it added a ton of liquidity at that higher MSS price or lower MSS to BNB ratio. And they did that like 3 or 4 times, I forget. And then once they did that, it then allowed them to sell everything that they gained from that first buy and all those mint transactions. But because the liquidity was so much thicker and at the ratio that the price was at when they added the liquidity, it then allowed them to extract BNB. Now I don't know who saw, but they had to pay 51 BNB in gas to get this to go through. I assume they didn't do that unless they kind of had to do something crazy like that. But yeah, they ended up walking away with 9 BNB, and the deployer wallet got sent a bunch of the BNB from minting, kind of accelerated, because it was all going to go there eventually once we minted through those levels. But yeah, they accelerated that. So yeah, we're going to be putting a lot of that BNB to work in various creative ways. We've already started by doing 25 BNB by an MSS, and we got some other great ways to benefit the ecosystem that we're going to use some of the other BNB for.
Good. Well, yeah, that's that. And the point at the bottom of the white paper, the Medium article, it says essentially breaking down the option of no token migration or token migration, right? And am I right in that you decided to not migrate? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I put more thought into it, and it's, like I said in the article, there was paper thin margins, right? Like a 15,900 BNB flash loan that only extracted 9 BNB in the end. You really just got to subtract a little bit of profit potential there, and it makes it, not able to be profitable. So, the very first change that was done would have taken that 300 BNB of referral money, and it's now maxed at 1 BNB. So that right there would have made it massively unprofitable. And plus we got other things going to additionally make it less profitable. So
yeah, because they were using the huge referral to then okay, and without being able to do that, then they can't actually repeat the same action, right? Because that's what some concerns I heard were, that if the price does continue to rise and then it reaches that we can mint again, it's to make sure that this cannot happen again, right?
Yeah. So the swap price was like, I think 6 or 7% higher than the mint price at the time of the exploit. And of course, they got that extra 299 BNB that they couldn't get anymore. And I mean, for one, they can't even use the swap contract anymore because we limited the max input to 10 BNB. So that whole thing just wouldn't work anyways. And the second thing that we're doing is we are adding, it's very close to being ready, a native cell to our site so that you can basically do everything that you need to do without ever leaving our DApp. And obviously we'll make it just as easy as everything else in the DApp already is. And so one of the big reasons we're pushing that out immediately is so that we can keep the 3% buy tax that we already have and the 9% sell tax, but you'll just need to use our DApp to get those levels, right? So if you want to pay the least amount of tax possible, you got to buy or sell through our DApp. We're going to raise the native taxes, which would be the taxes if you don't use our DApp. So if you go to PancakeSwap or you use any aggregator or use Flues or XBuy Finance or anything like that, then you'll be paying 4% on the buy and then 12% on the sell. So really for all of our guys, it doesn't make any difference. It just, reinforces using our DApp. And in addition to that, the 9% sell tax, we're actually going to be burning a third of that. So currently, the 9% sell that we have at the moment, 2/3 of that goes to liquidity. 1/3 is going to basic dev team stuff. So we're going to take that new 9%, and because we can kind of custom control what happens with it because it's controlled by the swap contract, we're just going to instantly burn 3% of it. And then the other 6% will do what we normally do with taxes. So get some even more tokens out of circulation.
Good. Let me just share my screen. I can show the website while we're talking about it. It's a good idea. If it works. Boom. Okay, good. So yeah, so coming to minting, because I noticed one change you've made already is here where you can decide. It's actually made it a lot simpler for people to use, right? So the currently swap says here, the swap is cheaper. So when you come to purchase, you would choose there to swap because it's best instead of minting. At some point in the future, when we moon, and we will, the swap will not be cheaper, and then you will be able to mint instead, choosing each one. When you want to come in and then profit, then you are going to be adding the
I'm going to put the
sell
swap
option.
Yeah, I'm going to put the swap back in the main menu.
Okay.
So right now, to get to the swap page, you got to actually click more swap options down a little bit.
Yeah, here.
Yeah. So we're going to put that back in the main menu just because this is where you're going to go to in order to sell your MSS. But if you want to go back to that mint page, I'll give you some of the logic behind why I set things up that way.
Okay.
So before, it was not easy to compare the output for a swap and a mint. And it's not quite as straightforward as just saying, hey, which one's cheaper right now? Because swap has price impact, mint doesn't. So there was a point in time where swap was cheaper, but if you started to input more and more BNB, the mint would actually become cheaper, right? Because of the price impact on the swap. So I was actually telling guys in the Telegram, right? Like when this was happening, the swap price was creeping up to the mint price. And I was like, oh, well, if anybody's doing more than 20 BNB, it's actually cheaper to mint. And then I give an update. Oh, if you're doing 10 BNB now, it's actually cheaper to mint. And, then it just became cheaper to mint overall. But yeah, you can actually plug in any number that you want for the input, and it'll give you an estimated output.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. Need more BNBs.
But it still shows you the output at the bottom there. So even if
it does. Yeah, if we go down. So if I wanted
like 200, yeah.
But now the max buy, you said the max buy is
so the max buy is 10 BNB.
10, right?
Swap
Okay.
Contract, yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, if I wanted to swap for that, you get 86,000, or if you want to mint, you get 34,000, right?
Yeah.
So then from here, you're going to be putting the swap option back in the header, right?
In the header menu.
Yeah.
I kind of really like how clean it is, just saying MintStakeShare in the menu, but I think it is going to be really important to have swap up there. And I've seen other videos where guys are kind of like stumbling and can't find the swap page anymore. So I think I definitely got to put that back.
I agree. I liked it at the top.
Yeah. I'll make that change right after.
So let's see if there's any other comments. We got a lot of people just saying bullish. Just joined. What's the alpha? The alpha is lending, which is going to be absolutely massive, huge. You can actually rewind back.
I was going to say it's probably too much to give a recap. Probably better just to rewind.
Exactly. So let's talk about base chain then, and what is happening. So if you guys have any comments about base chain and what's happening, a lot of the people in the live chat, I'm sure they're in the Telegram, and if you don't know, in the MintStakeShare Telegram, they're extremely communicative with what's going on and helping with the community to try and so that pull everyone together, right, is the philosophy. So if you're not in their Telegram, I would suggest you should join it, because that's where you get the best advice for how to use this platform in the best way, right?
Yes.
Would you agree? Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm always in Telegram while I'm working, which is pretty much all the time. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, base chain, its progress is great. Still basically on track with what we've always said in terms of the timeline. It's going to be really simple to switch between chains. You're going to be able to, well, actually, I guess the one somewhat recent development with base chain is in light of all the BNB that was received. That was a big stake right there.
Yeah, it was.
And so in light of all the BNB that was received, it's actually going to make life a lot easier on base chain, because I was thinking it's probably going to make sense to take a little bit of that and convert it to ETH and kind of give some initial liquidity to seed base chain, because prior the plan was to kind of launch base chain without trading being enabled and just kind of allow it to get minted up a little bit to build up some ETH in order to make that initial liquidity. But if we can just kind of seed that ourselves, that just lets base chain kind of get a running start. So I think that makes a ton of sense to do. So that way, right when we launch on base chain, you'll be able to swap. And we'll be able to show on the website the mint price on both chains, the swap price on both chains, and it'll just be 100% live and all features available right from the first minute. So I guess that's the latest development for anybody else that's kind of already keeping up with the base chain stuff. But
so for anyone who's not up to date, why base chain?
Oh, base chain is the best.
Base
is
why multi-chain, right? What's the main reason?
Base really is just to expand our user base. The more users that we have, the more liquidity we have, the more stable the price is, the more guys that can be jumping in to push that price up. It's overall extremely bullish, really, just to open the doors to a whole another chain. I know a lot of the guys that are in the community now are BSC guys, and nothing wrong with that. I love BSC too. A lot of my success came on BSC, so definitely love BSC. But I mean, after having played around with base and seeing the volume on base and the excitement around base and Coinbase being behind base, it seemed like a really obvious choice to expand onto. And again, for anyone that's not following the whole base chain stuff, we're not just launching a separate independent token there. It's going to be a bridgeable token. So, liquidity on base chain is going to actually benefit, the BNB chain and vice versa. Price pump on one is going to equal price pumping on both, because, you'll be able to bridge the token to Arbit. So there'll be, arbitrage opportunities there. So if the price ever varies between the chains, you can, jump on you can buy it where it's cheap and, sell it where it's higher. Or I mean, for someone that's just getting in for the first time, they might say, hey, it's a little bit cheaper on base. Maybe I'll just go buy on base instead of being BSC.
Good. We have a question which came from the Google Sheet. Says, what are the pros and cons of staking on either chain? Will the staking be open on base chain?
Yeah, so I mean, I think for ease of use, most guys will probably prefer to stake on just one chain or the other. There's not going to be any big advantage to doing it on both. They're both going to have the same return. So it's just going to be, you're going to have to do 2 compounds a day instead of 1 if you're on both chains. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being on both chains, but it just might be easier for people to track it or manage it if they're on just a single chain. But yeah, for a brand new user, it's really going to make no difference which chain you go on. The price is going to be right in line with each other. So it's whatever wherever your assets are, whatever you're comfortable with is what's going to make sense.
Do you think that will speed up the token emission or?
I mean, I'd say it's going to be the exact same if our base users would have instead used the DApp on BSC. Obviously, with more users and more tokens staked, it's going to be more emission just because there's more tokens that are being earned on, right?
Yeah. But then it's also a higher token. If more people are buying the token as well to do this. Yeah. So it's a plus.
Yeah. I mean,
essentially,
basically put it this way. It's like, if you look at BSC, we're at like 1,150 stakers, if that doubles to 3,000, it's basically the exact same thing to just take those, sorry, that was really bad math. 1,150 doesn't double to 3,000, but but either way, if you take like another 1,150 users, whether they come on BSC or base chain, it doesn't make a difference, right? It's the same thing as adding to our user base on BSC. Yeah.
True. And the rewards will also exist on the share rewards will also exist on base, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So again, huge opportunity for anyone watching to be able to talk about this new launch on base and begin to grow your network and get the massive rewards that this platform offers for, being a community member and putting your brick in to try and grow it larger, right? Which is also important.
Base chain is just exploding in popularity. So
yeah, it is.
Really excited to get out there.
Good, man.
And I've got some really good connections as well for marketing on base. So that should really help us get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Great. This is great stuff. Great stuff. So that last question was from Suchan. I have a couple more that were sent into the sheet. I think let's try to find some nice ones. MSS is growing day by day by the trustworthy and honest team. One thing I want to ask, what are further steps taken to sustain the ecosystem? What about outside revenue to self-sustain it? Thanks, by Satish. Was a question by Satish there. So he's talking a little bit about adding outside revenue, but would I be correct in thinking that the lending and borrowing would actually constitute outside revenue?
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, I'm a big believer in, increasing the demand on the token and, kind of tackling sustainability that way. Let's get guys excited and give them a real reason to buy the token, right? That's my favorite approach. I think in general, I think external revenue is sometimes overstated in terms of like how beneficial it can be. Like, I mean, if you look at what our emissions are going to be in a couple months, the amount of external revenue that you would need to even come close to putting a dent in that is exponentially higher than anything that we could ever earn. So it's something where like increasing the use case for the token and, getting more users involved is, going to be a much better option for sustainability. I mean, obviously we've already done some things for sustainability, and we'll continue to, look into it and, make any necessary adjustments, obviously after a lot of thought and research. Yeah. But good. I mean, I'm not necessarily against external revenue. I just think it's oftentimes it's overstated how much that's actually going to help, right?
It is hard. I've run external revenue for projects before, and initially it's always great. But if you are working with a DApp which has a high emission rate, then eventually the external revenue is unable to continue to fund the project properly.
I mean, I wish I had a way to generate millions of dollars on a regular basis, right? Like that'd be awesome if that was the case. I mean, I'd probably
it's called MintStakeShare.
I'd be on a yacht right now if I could do that, right? But
exactly, maybe you are. DNSS.
You never know.
Yeah, it's true actually. Yeah, because money, as much as we want it to, crypto does not grow on trees.
Yeah.
That's exactly that. Austin says, what happens if the price of MSS staked spikes and is worth more than the borrowed MUSD?
Well, that's a great scenario, right?
Yeah.
All right. If MSS price spikes, it means you could borrow more MUSD.
Yeah. Like you
Either,
supply $100 of MSS, and then suddenly the MSS goes up to $1, then you would have a 60x from here. Is that right?
20,
No, 0.6,
roughly
20x. Yeah,
20. Yeah.
20x. So you'd have 20x more ability to take out more dollars.
Yeah. So either your loan is a lot safer, or you could borrow more, or a combination of the two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Crypto Jack 3 says, when Pulse Chain?
Let's see in the future. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never really used Pulse Chain, to be honest, but obviously we want to go where we're going to get the best return on investment in terms of our dev time and marketing resources, things of that nature.
Yeah. Another question I got was from another user in the Google Sheet. It said, when are you going to move to Phantom? But I would say the same thing to Pulse Chain as I would to Phantom.
And that's the same answer for any chain, really. It's right. Like, I'm expecting base chain to be a big success. And if it is as big of a success as I plan, then, definitely once the lending platform is out there, we can definitely look at going to other chains. Actually, I will say, though, that we're going to be using Axelar for our bridging. So any chain that they support is one that we can easily move to. And just to touch base on the Pulse Chain thing, they don't support Pulse Chain, but they definitely do support like 20 of the biggest EVMs, like Phantom, AVAX, and a bunch of other ones. So basically anything that Axelar supports would be super easy for us to go to in the future.
Yeah, exactly. We have Uncle Rick Warrior has sent this like 20 times. Keeps saying more taxes. I don't know. Can you explain?
He's a big fan of taxes. I think if it was up to him, we'd have our sell tax at 30%.
Really? Wow.
Don't worry, guys. Nothing that crazy is coming.
Yeah, exactly. Crypto Trini says the 3% sell tax burns combined with the huge volume generated from the lending pools will support price. Yeah, yes, I agree with that. It's like a good insight.
100%.
Another question. This was from Olardimus, and he asked, will an airdrop system be implemented, and will there be any new features regarding that?
So there's been a lot of talk about this in the community. And there's also been a lot of confusion about it, because I know guys have said that like stuff like this has been abused in the past and things of that nature. So for one, I'm open to building out an airdrop system, but I think the real feature that people are looking for as part of that airdrop system is to be able to see your referrals, see who's generated you what kind of referral money. So maybe you want to pick who you want to airdrop to based on who's earned you the most, or maybe you want to do it randomly, or there's a bunch of different ways we could set it up. But I think it's having the stats there to see everything is going to be critical. And then just giving a nice, easy to use interface in order to be able to send people either a stake position. Probably it makes sense to send people like a stake position as opposed to just sending them liquid tokens. But for anyone that's concerned about like abuse or anything like that, like it's going to be the exact same as if you would have claimed the tokens out of the staking contract and then sent tokens to another wallet, right? So there's going to be zero financial benefit to doing this. It's just going to be an ease of use and stat feature, right?
Perfect.
I know a lot of guys keep bringing up abuse, and guys abuse this, and this is what killed this other project, and this and that, and it's just simply not going to be the case with us, because there's going to be zero financial gain to doing this.
Okay, so there will be some form of system might be implemented, but I'm guessing you want to get the base chain rolled out. You want to get starting with the final, I guess, design of the lending contract before making any of these other changes.
Yep.
It's continued. Yeah. Which is another very good question, which I found it was about. Oh, here it is. How big is the impact of community participation in project strategic decision making? And how is it measured? How is it implemented? This was from Rohano.
Oh, great question.
Yeah, very good question.
So this is probably one of our strongest points, I would say, right? So, myself and my team, we always review pretty much everything that ever gets suggested in the community. And, every suggestion that we hear, we definitely consider it. It might not seem that way always, but, we definitely do. And, the ones that even have aspects of it that could be useful in the future, or, you know, pretty much actually all the suggestions we're forwarding into a separate TG channel where we kind of keep track of them, and yeah, can go back and refer to them. But I mean, one of our big recent changes where, you know, your staked deposit getting lowered when you collect. So, you know, if you collect 100 tokens, your stake balance goes down by 100. I mean, that was actually a community suggestion, right?
Yeah.
And so we're very open to community suggestions. And I mean, in terms of the thought process, you know, at the end of the day, it's something where I'm going to look at it and say, hey, is this something that makes sense? Is this something that, you know, is going to be welcomed by the community? And probably most importantly, is this something that is in line with what people are already expecting, kind of like in the protocol, right? Like, I don't want people that have bought in for however much amount of money, and then all of a sudden we just change the whole game plan and change all the rules on them. Like, that's not fair, right? So So I mean, we get a lot of drastic suggestions, but, you know, there's at no point will we do anything crazy to change anything.
Good. There was one actually, which was a suggestion. I'm sure you've had millions of these. So this was from Phoenix. He said, for the sustainability of MSS, can you set a rule in which the player needs to do compulsory compounds after every withdrawal? What's your opinion on this, Aaron?
I mean, the staking contract's upgradable. We can technically do just about anything with it. I don't think adding rules to the game makes it more fun for people.
No.
Right. So I think you want people to be really excited about staking. You want them to be like, I want to compound because I believe in the project and I want to grow my staking balance, not because we say, hey, you better compound 4 times if you claimed, right? Like, I don't like those kind of restrictions. I want guys to do what they're doing because they want to do it, not because they're forced to do it.
Yeah. I agree also for the simplicity of the contract, right? At the moment, what I enjoy is the fact that I stake and I can choose, do I want to religiously come to my staking 2 times a day and continue to compound it so that I can grow faster? Or do I want to sit back, chill, come back after 2 days sometimes and then compound it, right? This is one of the things I enjoy. Also, this same idea with if I withdraw or if I compound. If I withdraw now or if I claim, I'm already getting depleted in my stake deposit. So if there was another rule that said also I need to compound after I claim, even though you're already, you know, taking that tax there. So I think, and at the same time, if you look at this comment here, it says, say hello to my 83-year-old MSS holding mother, right? So,
hello.
You know, crypto it's for everybody. If someone is 83 years old and they look at MintStakeShare at the moment, they're going to be able to hopefully understand mostly of how it works. You know, some might be able to even understand it more than us. You know, age is wisdom. But the more rules which are added to the staking contract and to the platform, then the harder it will be for someone new to come and join, right?
Yeah,
and
100%.
With that difficulty would mean then that there's no one buying the token, and or less people buying the token, which is not what the platform needs. It needs that simplicity as well. So, but it is true. It's such a hard decision to have the power to change a contract, but then to have that power doesn't mean that you need to do it. It's just that the option is there, you know.
And I've learned from mistakes in the past, like, you know, probably one of the biggest mistakes I made in the past, like with Bomb Money, is for anyone that remembers back then, you know, we launched CZ Pegs, which was like another peg protocol, and it had a bunch of innovations, including taxes if it was below peg. And CZ Pegs was just flying out of the gate. It was doing really well. So, you know, everyone in the Bomb community is like, hey, we got to put a tax on Bomb. We got to put a tax on Bomb. You know, heard this nonstop. And, you know, we jumped to the conclusion too quick that we should do that, right? And we then launched BitBomb, which was like kind of like a next generation bomb that had some of the same mechanics as CZ Pegs. And, you know, it really wasn't a smart move. And we should have really thought about that a lot more before we did that, right? So it's kind of learning from past mistakes. And obviously there's been a lot of past successes too that I'm also using to make the right decisions. Yeah,
exactly. We have a question from one of our DAO holders. He says, Richie, this is your buddy, the largest SEC and NFT holder, the whale. He says, can we expect possible collaboration in the future with MSS and the SEC ecosystem? I would say, of course. We have already collaborated on Galaxy before with Bomb. And as always, like we're doing an AMA right now. This is a collaboration. This is how it works. And in the future, we will continue to support each other.
Yeah, I'm very open to any ideas that you guys have, or Richie, any ideas that you have, just shoot it my way, and I'd love to collaborate even further.
Yeah, exactly. That's a given for sure, because everything needs to grow together, especially coming into the bull market. I was talking to Aaron just before we went live, just about that exact fact. It's like, we're getting into a really exciting time, and we're both really hopeful for this platform, and really excited that so many people are going to hopefully have huge financial success with it. Of course, it's DeFi, not financial advice, but we are hopeful and really excited for that, because that is one of the core goals of this. Is what I do in this channel. It's not just for me to try and get a Lambo. I want a Lambo, but I'd also like a lot of other people to have one too. Then we could, do things with them.
Yeah, I've obviously got the same mentality, right? I've always, I've always said, and I do truly mean it when I say, like, I want, everybody to win as a group. I want, everyone that's in the community. I want you guys to all have your own Lambos too, right? I don't want to be the only guy with the Lambo. I want, everyone to have it. And obviously that's why I appreciate so much, all the videos that go out, and, obviously, Richie, you're helping us a ton, and, everybody else in the community, all the other influencers. It's almost overwhelming how much support we're getting, and, I love it. And, can't wait for the future.
Yeah. It's also because anyone watching right now, or anyone seeing this on Twitter or whatever, you can join as well. And by building the community, you immediately get rewarded. And that's one of the huge selling factors of MSS, right? You cannot underestimate the power of network activity and growth. It's unbelievable. Some compliments for you. Miyagi says, love your mindset on this, Aaron.
Thank you very much.
The 83-year-old MSS holder says, keep it simple.
Yep. Always the priority.
Rick wants a muscle car, not a Lambo. Yeah. I would like a dream car would be Pontiac Firebird Trans Am 1979, probably.
See, the thing is, I want to daily drive my supercar, right? I don't want to have to be putting in, $1,000 of gas every day. That's my only issue with those.
True. That's true.
I need my MSS wrapped Lambo, and I'll take that everywhere.
Yeah. Z-Lab, well, we have one more question here. Is there a market cap target the team expects to hit? If yes, how long do you guys expect it to reach that level? Price questions. They're so difficult to answer.
I mean, all we can do is really build up demand on the token. And I think the MUSD expansion is going to be a huge, it's going to bring in a lot of MSS, which is going to come from, people that are buying it off the market and people that are using the reward MSS for that. So, I think the sky's the limit. I don't really want to say any numbers, but, with the bull market coming, BNB probably going to shoot up to $2,000 or something like that. It's really the ceiling's pretty high.
Yeah. Today I watched a video of Richard Hart talking about Hex going to $1 million per token. He said this a couple of years ago. And that's why a developer should not give token number,
Yeah, I joke around about it sometimes in the chat, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and collaboration equals building bridges. It does, exactly. That's the whole thing. So if you are looking to collaborate with MintStakeShare, then all you need to do is get into their Telegram and send a message. You can even DM me about it. I can pass you through. You can also, I'm sure, get hold of Aaron on Twitter, or get onto or X, right? And get to MintStakeShare on X. If you are looking to collaborate, you can. They're very easy to get in touch with, which is great too. And I think that wraps up also for the questions. We have one last one. It's very long. I'm going to paraphrase it because it's a very long question. He says he's invested in so many projects, so many promises have been made, and very often they're not delivered on. They base the viability of the project on the price, and if the investor throws it away or stops buying or they start selling, their team give up. They stop developing, and that hurts long-term holders. Then they jump on to creating something new, a different project, rather than developing the functional revenue-generating utilities. How can MintStakeShare assure us holding these tokens that it is a long-term project and you won't give up when the going gets tough? And that's by Jungle Dunks.
Yeah, thanks for the great question. I think, besides me just telling you guys like that, I'm obviously dedicated to this, and, going to be working on, whatever needs to be worked on to ensure that this lasts, as long into the future as possible. And, but I actually have a history with Bomb, right? Where, I made many millions from Bomb that I could have just went off and partied on a yacht for the rest of my life, probably. But, what did I do? I kept working, right? And I worked and I reinvested the vast majority of that money back into the ecosystem, and, basically just kept plugging away, constantly pushing out new projects, new expansions, anything that I could to help the project there. So, I mean, the kind of history just speaks for itself.
Yeah, I can verify that. When people were not watching, Aaron was continuing to build other utility for Bomb because he wanted it to work, right? He still believed in it. When other people did not believe in it, you still believed in it,
Yep.
And this is a huge benefit of that, is that all of these new protocols that you want to roll out to work with MintStakeShare and these new ideas, you've already touched on a lot of them in the past through the work that you put into Bomb, so it's the beauty of hard work, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, I've shown that, when I say something's going to come out, it does come out, and it's not usually delayed.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't like compliments, so. Okay, good. So I think that can pretty much wrap up. If there's anything else you want to say, Aaron, to the community and to everyone else.
I mean, I think, I really want to apologize to everyone for the exploit. I mean, I don't want to, I'm not going to point the finger at anybody else. It's nobody's fault but my own. It's something that's very, very first time it's ever happened to me. And it's something where it's not like something unexpected happened. I was protecting against reentrancy. There was some point where I made a change, and then the reentrancy protection went on a different function, and then there was a second way to access it. And, I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. It was my fault, right? And I'm really sorry, guys, and I'm really happy that all you guys are staying strong and going to continue to push and get MintStakeShare or MintStakeShare to the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
MintStakeShare. Yeah, no, it's the community coming together the way that they did after the exploit. It made me feel a little bit better after that slip up.
Yeah, and the price is recovering very well. From dipping down to the 0.03, we are now up to the 0.06. And if you zoom out on that, that is where the price was just about 10 days ago. So this has rebounded fantastically, and shocking to see such things, but I was really relieved, but also, I wouldn't say, I don't know if proud's the right word, because we're all in a platform, we're all working together. Maybe proud is the right word, that the community responded in the correct way, which is to, no, we believe in this. We will not let this get us down, and soldier on, right?
Yeah, and I've heard a couple of guys, like I know Thomas G and I think Drip Millions as well. They said, they saw the price dip and they're like, I better buy now and ask questions later. Like, I think I heard that out of both of them, right? And it's like, that just goes to show that, guys really stand behind it. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, and, exactly.
Shout out to everybody, really. Incredibly strong community.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Aaron, for coming on the channel. It's the first AMA we've had in years, I guess.
Years, so,
yeah, so we'll get another one because you showed me how to use the streaming software, so it's good.
Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for showing up, and to all the guys that watch us in the future, stay strong and keep pushing, and let's all get our Lambos. And Richie, I'm looking forward to doing some kind of collaborations in the near future. So hit me up.
Yeah,
let's figure something out.
Always, man. Always. Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right.